What's going on, everybody? It is Tour Junkies After Dark. It may not be dark when you're watching. In fact, we had somebody on YouTube just last week comment and go, you guys release this at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. I don't really think it's after dark. And I'm like, we recorded at night, very late at night.
That really was a comment we got?
Yes. Okay, it is after dark.
I'm not drinking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. As much as I may, listen, this is after dark as far as I'm concerned.
You may want to lower your voice or at least turn down your gain there, Pat. You're already quite loud. You're peaking the audio. But yes, we are Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. It is late on Monday night. Pat's just messing around with his camera. It's late on Monday night, and we have just recorded our podcast that you can listen to over on Tour Junkies, wherever you listen to podcasts, or tourjunkies.com. It's the Players' Championship. It is, to me, it's the fourth biggest week of the year. It is not a major, but it is bigger than the PGA Championship in my eyes. I know Pat agrees.
I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, I'm saying it's a better week in terms of the field. It's an interesting tournament. We don't have to get into that.
Maybe so, yeah. Okay.
We don't have to get into that. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to talk about the players that we disagree with that just came up in the podcast. At the end of the show, we're going to give you our favorite DraftKings Sportsbook plays of the week. We've got great offerings at the DraftKings Sportsbook this week. A ton of fun bets, prop bets, all kind of fun stuff. We're going to hit that up.
Some really cool stuff.
It's going to be a good time. But it is currently about 11 p.m. on the East Coast right now on a Monday night. We've had many a Tito's. No free ads. I'm sorry. No free ads. I don't know who Tito is or where he came from, but we do not endorse him at all.
I hate Tito.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to have some disagreement tonight. You are definitely going to want to listen to the Tour Junkies podcast because we had Paul Tesori on the show this week. He gave us about 20 minutes of insight. Now, if you don't know Paul Tesori, he is a caddy on the tour. This is his 20th year caddying on the PGA Tour. He lives in Ponte Vedra, where TPC Sawgrass is located, and he happens to caddy for Webb Simpson, the defending champ. Now, Paul knows TPC Sawgrass better than anybody, so we broke down the course with Paul Tesori this week. He gave us 20 minutes, and he talked about how different this golf course is going to play in the month of March versus the month of May, where we've seen it in recent years. I don't want to get into it all tonight. We don't have to get into a long course breakdown tonight. We can get right into the picks. But I'll say this. It seems like, based on what Paul has said, the cooler temperatures mean that longer hitters are going to have more of an advantage. The fairways are a bit soft right now, so the fairways will play a little bit wider. The greens are softer, a little more receptive, and chipping and putting may not be as tough as it has been in years past. Therefore, I know I'm leaning more towards bombers. Pat, do you want to make any comments on what you're kind of looking at this week before we get into some picks that I know we both disagree on?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think this does, the course does lend itself to bombers more so than it has in the past. And, here's the thing. I'm always a course history guy, but I'm going to dial that back a little bit this week. I think this is just a week that you can gain a little bit of an edge by maybe going not necessarily opposite course history, but at least like looking at a course like this is in a different style than we typically get in May. And so I love the bomber style this week. Normally, here's what we see at the TPC. Almost any player is in play here. You got guys like Fred Funk, who's won here in the past. Your short hitters. You got your long hitters like Tiger Woods and Jason Day and whatever else. But I think if you want to take a stance on just one style player versus another, you can do that this week.
So weighting course history a little less than maybe we normally do is kind of what you're saying.
That's exactly what
And be careful saying Fred Funk. You've had enough of the unspoken beverage. You need to be careful with Fred Funk. We're trying to keep this PG here.
Yeah. Well, I like some Fred Funk, by the way.
Okay, that's enough. Let's get into this. I think the first bone that I have to pick with you, Pat, is a cash play that you mentioned on the podcast just a few minutes ago. I am a sucker for Xander Schauffele, okay? I like Xander Schauffele. In fact, Tournament of Champions, I talked him up. I had him at 60-1 to win the Tournament of Champions, and he won to start off the year 2019. I like Xander. I typically like Xander in GPP formats, especially on DraftKings. He tends to be a boomer bust kind of guy. He is a bomber. He does score DraftKings points. I give you that. He is cheap at 9,000, so it's a good spot to consider starting a cash lineup. But, buddy, I can't get on Xander for cash. We know that experience matters here at TPC. He's only played here one time. Now, he played really well with a runner-up finish, I believe, last year. But I just don't... There's a lot of volatility at TPC. We talked about it on the show. A lot of guys can top 10 at one year and miscut the next. There's a ton of volatility here. I just don't think Xander is a play in cash. I like him in GPPs. I want to go ahead and say that. I don't mind him in GPPs, but cash, I have to disagree with you here.
Yeah, I think here's the thing with Xander. I mean, the guy's just been a cut maker. He does not. He never misses cuts. I mean, this is a guy that
he does miss cuts. Yes, he does.
Well, everybody misses cuts, David. I mean, God, freaking A. Yeah, everybody misses cuts.
Whoa.
But not a guy like Xander lately. He's just been extremely solid. This is a great course for him. And you know what? I mentioned that I don't like course history this week as much as I normally would, but the guy finished second here last year on a course that I actually wouldn't think is the best fit for him. And then, you know what? He comes in this year on a totally different course where he can bomb it all over the place. People tend to think of Xander as not much of a bomber, like me. I used to really think that until you pointed that out to me. I don't know why
anybody would think that. Yeah, he's a bomber. But he hits the ball a long way.
I mean, he's short in stature. You know, short guys tend to be thought of as bombers. Sorry, short guys. You know, but I just think that. Look, at 9,000, I love that price for him. And then you look at other categories here that, just bombing it or whatever. I mean, he checks the box in opportunities gained, which is a scoring stat. I love that as well. He's number one in the field in strokes gained on par fives. That's something I typically like to look at on a par 72 course where you've got to take advantage on the par fives. You got 4 of them. Okay, so what is that? That's 16 of them. That's 16 par fives, right?
Good math.
For 4 days of the tournament. If you're checking boxes there and you're scoring, then you know what? You got a good chance to not only finish well, but win the tournament. So I like that for some Xander Schauffele.
Okay, all right. I gotta say too, the next one I'll hit you on is the Ricky Fowler fade. Now, we talked about...
That's an easy one for you, isn't it, David? Because you know what? There's just, It's Ricky Fowler. I'm fading Ricky Fowler.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I understand in the 9K and above range on DraftKings.
It's making a little bit of a bold call there over 9K.
It is a bold call. It's a hard fade to make anyone in the 9K range and above. Unless, you want to go the easy route and say fade Tiger with a neck injury.
Or you want to go the easy route and fade
Jason Day.
Bryson DeChambeau, who you faded in this category.
Well, okay, I'm talking to you right now. I think that Ricky...
Is it your time now or is it my time? Can I have some time?
I started. So I think Ricky is not a good fade. He's a former winner here. He has played really well except for a couple of rough holes at Bay Hill this past week. He got really hot on Sunday and then kind of fell off again. He's having a little trouble off the tee, but we've already heard from Paul Tesori. Fairway's a little wider, a little softer. He doesn't have to hit as many drivers here at Sawgrass. He plays the ball really well with his irons right now. I mean, he's hitting the ball really well with his irons right now. I just think of all the guys to fade, Ricky would not be one of the ones that I feel the strongest about. Again, don't get super defensive. With Xander, I like him in GPPs. I just don't like him in cash. I'm nitpicking here. I'm trying to find some things I disagree with here. Ricky, I just don't see as the fade that I would come up with. I just think his past here is good. He's been playing really well, except for a little bit of trouble off the tee at Bay Hill. I just don't like the fade. That's all.
Well, here's the thing with Ricky. I mean, you could say the past history is good because of the fact that he won here in 2015. But other than that, he was T77 the year before that. He missed the cut the year after he won, T60 following that miscut, and then miscut last year. So really, his course history is not all that great. And like I said in the past, like earlier, I'm not really weighting that even all that much, but it's just not that good for Ricky Fowler. And here's the thing. Look, this is just one of those tournaments where week in and week out, you have like guys that you can always sort of point towards, your bombers and whatever else. This is kind of one of the flyer type tournament. But I think for Ricky, I don't know. I just don't like him. I think he's always a popular play. The 9,700 is cheaper. He's out of that 10K range where he's sort of been in the last few weeks when you see him in the field. So I think that that's going to gravitate more people towards him as far as ownership's concerned. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Ricky. I think his ownership's going to be high. I don't like it.
Okay.
And you know what? You like some DeChambeau.
No, I don't.
Oh, wait, you faded DeChambeau.
Yeah.
That's the guy, yeah. Yeah, you faded some DeChambeau. I'm not a big fan of fading him either. I mean, the guy's just been on fire. Like, I don't understand why you would fade a guy week in and week out who's just been absolutely awesome. This is a course, actually, where I think he plays well on. Why would you fade him?
Okay, well, week in and week out, first of all, I've not faded him. And week in and week out, he's also not been awesome. I mean, he's definitely trending in the wrong direction. Yes, he's been pretty hot as of the fall last year. Started off the year pretty good at the Tournament of Champions, the Sony, the Genesis. But then at Mexico, he finished DFL just about. Arnold Palmer just last week, he finished 46th.
Yeah, but Mexico's just, I mean, I don't know. You got
okay, if you want to throw out Mexico, go ahead.
Throw out Mexico.
Yeah, but he still finished very poorly in Mexico. But here's what he did at the Arnold Palmer. He lost 4 shots on approach. I don't like that coming into Sawgrass where you've got to be dialed in with your irons. Just not a fan of that. So I think he's trending in the wrong direction. Also, like we heard last year when we talked to our buddy Adam Hayes, who caddies for John Rahm, experience matters at the Players' Championship. Experience matters at Sawgrass. So, if I'm going to pay up at $9,300 for a guy, I just think DeChambeau, who's played here one time last year, finished 37th. Let's just say he finishes 25th. I don't know that really returns value this year. So if I'm going to pay up for that guy, I don't really think this is the year for DeChambeau. I don't really think he's striking the irons well enough right now. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to finish top 10. So therefore, he's a fade for me. If I got to pick a guy over 9K, I think DeChambeau is the easiest fade outside of a Tiger's got a neck pain, a Jason Day with a disc issue.
Yeah, with the Day and the Tiger, those are the easy fades. So I understand it. Here's the thing. I actually think that this all seriousness, I think this is a range that's extremely hard to fade, especially in a tournament like this. But
yeah, with the value at the bottom
too. You gotta plant your flag somewhere.
Yeah. All right, hit me with it. Who else you got?
Actually, that's all I really got for you. I didn't have a ton of disagreement with you there. So you pick me apart if you want to.
Okay, I got one more. You mentioned Phil on the podcast. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Ownership is what we're preaching right now heading into Sawgrass. That's going to be a big deal if you're playing GPPs. You got to have some ownership leverage. You got to have guys that are low owned. Phil, having not played here a lot, or not played well, really in his history here at Sawgrass, basically says he doesn't feel like he has to play. He's going to kind of give it a look. We still don't know for sure if he's actually going to play as of this recording on Monday night. So I don't want to spend too much time on him, but tell me why you want to play Phil in the event he says, you know what? I've sucked here in the past, but I think I'm going to give it a shot coming off of my up and down performance at Bay Hill where I missed the cut and I trunk slammed. I'm going to give it a shot. Tell me why you like him outside of the obvious ownership leverage.
Well, last time he missed a cut, what happened the next week?
I don't know.
He won. He won the AT&T Pebble Beach the week after he won or missed the cut. So, you know what? I'm not putting a whole lot in that. As a matter of fact, that's only going to probably give me a little bit lower ownership.
Except for the fact that Pebble Beach is a course that he has dominated in years past. He loves Pebble. So coming off a missed cut makes a lot of sense. Don't know that that's really a fact here for Sawgrass.
Well, here's the thing. Well, another reason I'll give you is that, we're seeing some Mickelson a little more active on social media these days. He started his Instagram page. He's got his Twitter page. And you know what? He talked about how he likes the course this week as far as the rough is concerned because it's down, because there's not a whole lot of rough. And you know what? We all know Mickelson can be erratic off of the tee, but when he's liking a course like he seems to like it this week, it's a totally different course. I talked about that. This is an overseeded course. The greens are different. Everything else is different. This is a course he can play well on as opposed to when it was the typical course in May. So I like some Phil this week. I think that he can bomb it around here. He's actually top 10 in the field in driving distance. I like that. He's scoring as he always does. He's top 10 in the field in birdie or better percentage. That's another thing that I'm looking at this week. So you know what? I'll take a guy coming off a miscut who's been all in the news lately on how he doesn't want to play this course because it's just not the right course fit and whatever else. But by the way, he mentioned it not being the right course fit because of the rough and everything else. But that's down this week. It's totally different. So I think Mickelson could be a great low-owned GPP play coming off a miscut. Big fan of it. I think it's a great play.
All right, let's talk about some DraftKings Sportsbook offerings. I've got 3 guys that I like as outright winners, and then I got a prop bet that I kind of like for DraftKings. There's a ton on offer, though, I got to say. Really excited about what DraftKings Sportsbook is offering this week for the players in terms of prop bets. You can bet on nationality prop bets. You can bet on top 10, top 20, top 5, made cut, miscut, all kind of fun stuff. So I'm excited about it. Pat, why don't you give me, first of all, your favorite bets of the week?
All right, well, I got a few, and I'm with you too. I think there's some great prop plays here on the sportsbook, but I'll start it with the shortest odds, and I like some John Rahm at 30-1. I think those are great odds for a guy you don't typically see in that 30-1 category when it comes to a tournament like this. I think this is a good course fit for him. Again, he hasn't been great here, but with the new course conditions in March, I love it at 30-1. Also, love some Gary Woodland at 45-1. I think that's a great play as well. And then for the longer odds, I'm going to go with some Ryan Palmer at 200-1. A guy we saw play fantastic in the final round at the Honda Classic on Bermuda greens, Bermuda everything. A guy that played well there, 200-1. Hey, you know what? It's worth a little flyer there as well. And you know what? Also, a little bit shorter, I forgot to mention my boy Mickelson, 80-1. How could you not play Mickelson at 80-1? Just put some dollars on Mickelson at 80-1. Throw it out there. Do it. There's no reason not to.
All right. I'm gonna make this quick before Pat's eyes fully close because I think they're seeing the end of day right now. My shortest odds guy is Hideki Matsuyama at 33-1. Great history here. Incredible ball striker. Plenty of length. The only thing that he's sucked at lately is putting. He lost about 8 strokes on the greens putting the last time we saw him. That's got to regulate a little bit, got to regress back towards his mean. I just see Hideki as a great play at 33-1 on DraftKings. It's a no-brainer. He's a class player. Right behind him at 45-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook, Gary Woodland, a guy who I absolutely love this week on DraftKings.
I just mentioned him, by the way.
You did? I checked out. I didn't really want to listen to him.
Yeah, I mentioned Woodland.
To you. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree on Gary Woodland at 45-1. I know you didn't mention this guy at 125-1. Keith Mitchell. Yeah, like
I knew it.
what? I mean, a first-time winner 2 weeks ago on Bermuda. He comes out last week at API, makes a run on Sunday, finishes top 5 or top 10, something like that. Definitely hits the ball plenty long, got all the distance, doesn't have the experience here, but he's feeling good about himself. He's feeling hot. The putter's working. He's bombing the ball around. I mean, like 125-1. I think he's worth a stab. Keith Mitchell. I'm just saying, we won you some money on him a couple weeks ago on the tournament he won. We hit that for you, or maybe it was something like that. And then I have a prop bet. Do you have any more bets, Pat? I have one prop bet.
I actually got a couple of prop bets.
Oh, what are your prop bets?
Well, I think, here's the thing. There's a lot of offerings, like you mentioned on DraftKings.
So many offerings.
It's really cool.
Bountiful offerings.
Like, you could go top any country you want to. You could go top Asian.
Yeah.
You could go top Euro player, which is what I like some top Euro, which is a guy you like, and Sergio Garcia at 11-1. I think that's a good kind of top Euro bet. Some good odds there. Some
great
good
history
value.
Here.
Yeah, so I like that. And here's another prop bet. You could actually go albatross. So is anybody going to get an albatross? And you know what? One of the guys that we talked about on the podcast, or at least I did, Rafa Cabrera Bello had an albatross just a few years ago. I believe it was on 16. I may be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think these are some par 5s that are going to be gettable. They're going to set this course up for some scoring. I think they will do that. And
what's the number on that albatross?
16-1.
No way. I would never bet that.
I like
ridiculous.
that. I like throwing a little small bet on that just to see if it happens. I'm okay with that. And then that's about it.
All right, I got one bet, and that's hole-in-one prop bet. Will there be a hole-in-one? The actual favorite in this is yes, because we do tend to see hole-in-ones on 17. However, if you listen closely to what Paul Tesori said, 17 is going to play a lot different. Also, if you read a few things, the wind direction is a little different in March as it is in May. 17 could be playing a little longer than it has in years past. So I don't think there will be a hole-in-one. You get 11-1 odds on no for the hole-in-one. So I think that's easy money. Put a little 50 spot on that. Get a nice little return. That one's free. That one's all free. Pat, you got anything else?
That's terrible. I hate that.
You think there's gonna be a hole-in-one?
No, but to predict the wind on a whatever, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
You're stupid.
You got a big head.
You got 3 chins.
Why don't you learn how to shave better?
Okay, I think we're going to go to a bad place. That's it. Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. Be sure and check out the podcast if you haven't already. And we're back every week. Sometimes we're a little sharper than others. That's all I got to say. May your screens be green. See ya!